But I'm not going to see the live. You're gonna start it from your end, right?
Yeah, you have to start.
So I'm not going to see what I usually see. I'm gonna have to pull it up on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
okay,
pull it up on YouTube now, and
I think that way is better for you too. So you
let's do it. I'm not going to question it. Let's try it. Hold on.
will like notice right away what's wrong with it.
Hold on.
but Danny, you have to pull it up on YouTube though, right? To start the live stream.
Already
Okay. Oh, it's already started. Wait.
The stream's on.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He's like, I told you.
Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. The stream's on. So, we're trying something new today. We have a new camera. You just saw some behind-the-scenes talk because Danny started the camera about a minute early. So, screw it. Let's get into it. I got some stories to share today, and basically we're going to talk about this guy's dating question. And a lot of times we talk about breakups and whatnot, but we don't get into the dating part of it. And there was a couple stories that have come in recently that are in regards to that. And I'm happy to answer those questions. And actually, a lot of times people will come to me after we unpack their breakup story and get into that. So today, that's what we're going to get into. So it feels a little weird not having the screen in front of me where I usually talk on a live stream. So it's a little bit awkward at first, to be honest. It feels naked right now without having the screen in front of me rather than the way it is today. So forgive me for being a little awkward and off. So Johanna, how you doing today? Good morning. Welcome. I hope you're doing well in Sweden. And let me know how you're doing right now. Send me an email. We've done a live coaching before. Give me an update. Let me know what's up. I hope it's going better than it was a few weeks ago. So just to get into the story today, I've got a dating question. You've helped me through your videos for breakups, but this is more a pressing question. I'm currently 1 year plus out of my breakup, and as an individual, I'm doing wonderful. I have no ill ties to my ex. I'm in the best shape of my life. Things with work are solid. I've taken up some interesting hobbies, and I have been dating. I'm currently seeing a woman, but not official. She's great and stays over a lot. In the beginning, I honestly wasn't that into her. Felt like she wore way too much makeup, and she also couldn't hold a deep conversation very good. I was fine with that, and after our first date, I just never called her again. And then we ran into each other by chance a couple times, so I decided to go out with her again, and we had a good time from then on. Things have been good, but here's the thing. She's way more into me than I'm into her. Well, that's actually a good thing for you as the guy in the relationship. It's nothing to feel guilty about. There's always someone in a relationship when you start dating that likes someone a little bit more, and there's no way to really measure that. How do you measure who likes someone more? You just feel it, and you're in a good position. That doesn't, power corrupts, right? But not always. So in your current situation, you've obviously done something to attract her and make her feel happy and good to be with you. So don't fight that. On the flip side, you're not doing anything wrong. You don't need to tell her that, hey, you like me more than I like you. Like I said, this is a good position to be in, but think about it this way. You can easily have that flip. So relationships, to me, attraction's fleeting, and this idea that right now you're dating and she likes you more than you like her, she has stronger feelings, that can flip. So sometimes you think to yourself, wow, and then maybe in 6 months, a year, 2 years, your feelings get stronger, right? So in no way is that a bad thing, and it's not uncommon for someone to have stronger feelings than the other person. And the person that cares less rules the relationship. So like I said, you're in a good position I appreciate her and she's growing on me, but I don't really want a long-term relationship with her. Okay, so right now, that's how you feel. But right now, you're dating, you're going out, you feel good. Don't fight that. I would continue on. And if that, the question would be, do you not want a long-term relationship with her? Or do you just not want a long relationship at all? So that would be a question that I would ask myself if I was in your shoes. But she's been great. I mean, she's caring, sweet, and kind. I find her more and more attractive. Well, there you go. So that right there says that she's actually growing on you. And if I was in a live coaching session, I'd ask you, is this something in past relationships you've had happen where you start out and you go, well, I kind of like this woman. There's some really good parts. And then she grows on you. You start to like her more and more. And if you think about it, that's a good way to grow into a relationship. That's not a bad thing, right? You just feel like right now she's on another level of her attraction. Now, when it's 0 to 100, as I say, and it's ultra clingy from the start, what I liked is what you told me in the beginning is you guys went out. You didn't call her because you weren't attracted, it didn't work out, what have you. But she didn't call you off the hook. She didn't give you a guilt trip. She accepted that as being fine. And then just by serendipity, you run into each other a few times and you go out again. And sometimes it's just timing. So the fact that you're finding her more and more attractive, again, don't fight that. I would continue to date her. Typo. She doesn't do nothing bad. She does nothing but good things for me. Okay, that sentence was butchered by the individual that wrote this. I've also left my options open and been dating other women. Nothing serious, but I feel like it's my best interest to do so. I've learned that one thing you do post-breakup is figure out what you really want for yourself. That's something I discuss a lot. And I know in my own life, whenever I've become single or been single for a while, I actually didn't do that at all in my 20s. Didn't really think, like, what do I really want in a girlfriend? It's kind of like the difference between being an opportunist and being a specialist. Think about that for a minute, right? Humans are actually opportunists in a lot of ways, but they can become specialists. If you think about it compared to the wild, right? Like an eagle, specialist, right? Have you ever seen an eagle grab a trout out of the water in a lake or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen him dive down?
Yeah.
Specialist. What's an opportunist, right? Hyena.
Something comes along.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of times people go into dating as opportunists.
Mhm.
Like, well, I just met this random, she's cute.
Yep.
Up. But when you go into it and you go, I'm looking for this specific type of woman that does these kinds of things and has these kind of characteristics, it kind of changes the game.
Mm.
And I think that comes with maturity. But if you're not, it's the same thing for a job, right? If you go around and you just go, hey, whatever's the best opportunity for me just to get paid, you're going to probably end up in a job you don't really like, or you're working just for money, and where the alternative is, I've always wanted to do this job and I'm focused on getting it. You can apply that same characteristics to finding a partner or mate, right? I had a strong vision of the kind of woman I want long term, and even though this woman is really sweet and does everything right, I do mean everything. There's something missing. Perhaps it's the deep conversations. Well, I think what it is that human beings are so intricate and different that you probably had this idea of what you were looking for, which is good, and then you went, well, she doesn't meet up with all those things, but she's pretty damn good. So again, I wouldn't fight it. I wouldn't push this away because it's not exactly what you were looking for. I'd continue to date her. And if you have the opportunity to keep it where you're seeing each other or dating, and you keep it open where you're, don't feel like you are in a serious relationship yet, where you don't live together, she's not staying over your house 7 days a week, that kind of stuff, then you can keep the door open. But it sounds to me like you've gotten surprised in a good way because you originally thought, no chance, this isn't going to work. And then you run into her a few times, you go out with her and you're like, wait a minute, actually, checks off a lot of boxes. She's Buddhist and meditates a lot, so she's incredibly calm and non-reactive. There's a lot to like about her, but here's the thing. There's this other woman that goes to my gym that I've had a crush on. I'm 35. It feels weird having a crush, but that's what it is. I think we all get crushes, but people don't really.
You don't say it.
When you
like
get to a
that.
certain age, you don't.
It's more
tell
of like a
people.
it feels like a high school kind of term.
Right.
Or something.
I think when people are married, they have crushes.
Sure.
From colleagues.
Sure.
From interactions at places that they go to regularly, but a lot of times they just won't act on it or say something.
It's just natural. I mean,
Right.
I think we all have them. Yeah.
The fact that you're single right now and that you feel like you've had a ideal type that you want, right? I think that changes the game where you're like, wait a minute. So we've talked a few times and she's been receptive, but I haven't asked her out. From the little I know of her, she lines up with more of what I'm looking for. Okay, so the little bit of you, let me just translate this the way it's coming out to me. She's more attractive.
Yeah.
See, this is what's lost in everything that's being discussed here. I haven't heard like she's hot. So as men, a lot of times, whether they want to admit it or not, what's your attraction scale? Now, again, someone can grow on you on attraction.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. But initially.
Right?
Right.
And I think that that could be in the way they dress, the way they act, and then if you eventually have intimacy, that changes everything one way or the other. But the idea that she lines up more with what I'm looking for. You see how language is used there? I'm looking for. I would say it's about looks. She looks better to you. So I'm also attracted to her. I'm going to ask her out, but I feel like the one I'm currently seeing is all in with me right now, and she deserves the truth. Well, it just depends on your morals and values. So if you're saying that, then do it, right? Do I tell her I'm still dating other women? That's your choice to make. I don't know how serious you are. I'd say if you're not living together, if we were talking about this in a live coaching session, I'd ask a little deeper questions. How often are you seeing each other? Has she brought up wanting to be in a monogamous relationship? Has she pressed that? What are her thoughts about, someone seeing multiple women? That can come up in a date, right? Is she seeing other people? It doesn't sound like it. People usually want you to do what they do. So we never became official, nor has she pressured me to do so, but she is girlfriend material. My 1 to 10s as you ask in your live streams. So he did mention here, you've helped me through your videos for breakups. So he's watched quite a few, I suppose. My 1s to 10s as you ask in your live stream. Trust is a 10. So if someone doesn't know what I'm talking about here, I often say the 3 pillars, just to simplify things, are trust, connection, and attraction, and you can 1 to 10 those at any given moment. And it's a nice temperature read, and it's simple to do, and it actually really makes things clear, because I actually ask the question to people, and they go, oh shit, I never thought of that. And you can do it at any time with whoever you're with, and here's the thing. Even if you were with someone 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, if you're at a crossroads in a relationship, it actually changes. It will change. So those numbers aren't concrete. The one that's the most important in a long-term relationship is trust, right? Because attraction and connection can go up and down. You don't want trust to go up and down. That creates insecurity. It creates questionable, oh, you're on your phone, this, that, and the other. It creates detective shit, okay? So he writes, trust is a 10, connection is a 7 and growing.
Okay.
That's wishful thinking. Attraction is a 6. So there you go. This is why you're not all in.
Yeah.
A 6 isn't bad,
It's not where you want to be.
but on the flip side, like I said, attraction can change. That can get higher. Now, what's a tricky situation when you're dating someone compared to when you're seeing someone, and some people might think this is messed up, but you could make suggestions on stuff that you don't like about their appearance, because he mentions earlier about the makeup thing, right? So you can say, like, if she's receptive to your feedback rather than telling her, hey, you have to dress this way, right? So I'm wondering, is this enough for me long term? Well, I'm not you, but I would say that the 6 on attraction is probably what's holding you back. And that can change. I don't see it. If she's a 10 on trust and she has all these other qualities, I don't see you backing off until you meet someone else. Now, a lot of people just find that highly selfish. Mm-hmm. But I'm just being honest. I think that you're allowed to still date other women right now. If you're not living together, if you haven't officially said that you're together.
You haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you need to declare anything at this point. Mm-hmm. If she brings it up as an issue, and then you have to have that chat and you have to decide, am I going to be an honest individual at 35 years old? Mm-hmm. Or am I going to play games? I will say there are moments where I find her more attractive. That's exactly my point. Attraction's fleeting. It's up and down. It's all around. You know, someone has the flu and they're on the couch in their pajamas and they got a thermometer in their mouth. Or you're like, oh man, she's a 9, right? It doesn't work that way, right? Certain times of the month for women, they're not as attractive just because of their personalities and their moods change. That's just the way it is. As I'm writing this, what sticks out is that her job and the fact that she doesn't work out or exercise much bothers me. That's a big issue. So the fact that these are 2 things that are huge to me also. Job is part of your identity. It's also one of the primary things you talk about. So when you go out for connection, people might talk about their family and friends, but a lot of times they talk about their job. Like, so if you think her job's boring, mm-hmm. right? I'll give you an example. I remember there was a teacher I worked with at a charity, and she was like in her early 20s, and her boyfriend was a veterinarian at a what do I call it? I don't want to call it a charity, but
like
I guess
a nonprofit.
A nonprofit dog shelter, mm-hmm. cat shelter, right? Which I thought, fuck, what a great mm-hmm. dude. He was donating his time as a veterinarian in their early 20s, and she was donating time as a teacher.
Yep.
So she was telling me, though, that she'd go out to dinner with this group that were, dog lovers. Mm-hmm. And she said, literally, you couldn't talk about anything else but rescuing dogs. Sure. And people brought their pets, to the functions. And she's just like, I don't want to talk about dogs all mm-hmm. the time. Right? Mm-hmm. And I met the guy before, and, he kind of had this soft character, really gentle. They were opposites. Mm-hmm. But that's something that gets overlooked. And the fact that she didn't line up with it. If you're going to be with someone that's a veterinarian, I'm just going to make a wild guess and say that most veterinarians are animal lovers. Right? So
go out on that limb. Yeah.
Right. And mm-hmm. so you don't like pets, it's probably going to be awkward mm-hmm. at times, right? Mm-hmm. And your partner probably going to smell like pets.
Yeah, even if you don't like it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you don't like her job, and this is something I would have to elaborate, it's kind of overlooked that's going to be something you talk about. But also I often mention to people when they're coming out of a breakup is, checking yourself in the mirror and diagnosing who you are as an individual. And I say, are you proud and privileged of the job you do currently? I would say that might bleed over for a lot of people. Are you proud of what your partner does? That doesn't mean you need to show them off, but if you think about it, it does count, right? Because if they do something you're kind of not on board with or not on the same picture, or let's just say, for example, they work for a company that's shady. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was in real estate before, basically there were times when we just went blackout here, but I think that the sound is still on. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, we're back on deck. Wow, Danny, great work, man. So, Eve says, I think the job's part of a person's self-esteem. But I agree. But to get deeper, it's nice when someone does a job that you respect or works with a company you respect. So what I was saying is, I remember dating someone that worked for a guy that was really shady. This was during the loan period where people were doing predatory loans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were making a lot of money. And she knew it was kind of wrong. And I was like, but you're on board?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, as long as I get paid kind of a thing. No, that's not attractive. That's morals and values. And it's also like, who are you going to become in the, you know what I mean? So you really do have to think about, in the beginning, these are the things you put to the side. And you go, oh, the attraction's good. It's rose petals and wine glasses. It's great. The intimacy's good. So it's okay. I kind of don't like the job she does, though. And she doesn't really mind. She's going to be doing this job forever. You know what I mean? If you think about it, do you see many people that are, I just said veterinarian, like a veterinarian with a shoe shiner? No. It just doesn't line up,
usually
right?
add up, yeah.
Right. So it does count. And the fact that if you're someone that exercises or works out, you probably don't need her to be on your level. But the fact that someone does nothing, that's something, though, that you could introduce as something you do together and see if that's just something that's she's never put an effort into, but she's willing to make an effort, not necessarily for you, but because you spark it.
You're right.
It's just like you have a new friend at work or something that starts going to the gym and you go with them. So that's something you could actually work with. I want someone that values exercise, optimal health, and has a job that's interesting. Well, that doesn't sound like too much to ask. To be fair, she does watch what she eats and cares about her figure, but her lack of exercise really does bother me. You said that twice. So
It does bother her. It does
yeah,
bother
yeah.
her.
So what I would add to that is just like, how about challenging her to go exercise with you, or telling her there's a class or there's something like that. Going back to my crush, she's got an interesting job. She's a doctor and does yoga regularly. I really believe now after the breakup that I want to find a woman that values things I value, especially what we do in our free time. The woman I'm currently dating, seeing, has great values and will make a really good girlfriend, but I'm not sure we connect on a high enough level. Okay? That being said, the more I see her, the more I like her and appreciate her. So keep seeing her. I would say what you're dealing with here is you're looking at it like, oh, I wish it was just all packaged and ready to go. I think in this particular case, things are pretty good.
It sounds like they're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
And there's some things that you can incorporate without telling her like, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. So I would definitely not give up on this right now. There's one part to all this. I just recently went on a couple dates because with another woman whom I've known for years. We didn't have I'm sorry, I lost my place here. I just recently went on a couple dates with other women whom I've known for years, and we did have a short thing going years ago. I actually thought we would be together at some point, but she had to move for work reasons, and we just cut it because we didn't want to do long distance. Now she's moved back, and I went out with her a few times. We really had something good in the past. So you got a crush. You're happy with the woman you're dating currently who checks a lot of boxes. And then you got this other woman that you just went out with a couple dates that's from your past that you had a good connection with. I would say that you're spinning plates, as a great Rollo Tomassi said. You're putting yourself in a position to have your pick of the litter here. But also, I will say that when you do this, that girl that you keep talking about, if she's that good and she's that great, she can meet someone else. And someone else would appreciate those characteristics that you mentioned earlier.
Sure.
And if she finds out that you're seeing other women and you're not going to commit, and I'm not telling you to do it today, tonight, tomorrow, next week, but at some point you probably will, right? Because those don't grow on trees. So you right now, I don't have a problem with you doing this, but just know your consequences, right? This woman that came back into the picture that you went on a few dates with, which I would call a discovery mission, I suppose, right? Like I always say, go on a discovery mission, cool. These are casual, like, oh, how have you been? What have you been up to? But there will be consequences to maybe losing the one that you really have interest with and you have a good connection with because she doesn't meet up with everything. He goes back, we really had something good in the past. We have great conversation. I'd say my attraction for her is also a 6. Connection is an 8 or 9. Trust is an 8. Interesting. You know why trust is an 8? Because you kind of broke it off one time.
Right.
Over a long distance, but still, you're kind of like, that can happen again. She can be selfish sometimes. Well, that would be a big red flag. So you describe the first one as sweet, caring, kind, loyal, trustworthy, honest, ... And then you go, oh, this other one that I just went out with, she can be selfish sometimes. Again, attraction at a 6, you know, is that enough for you? Some people would say, oh, that's plenty. Because of the other things.
The other things are so high.
Yeah, it can be. I'm not anti, but I'm saying that's where you're hesitant, right? Because there's if the attraction was a 10 and connection was a 5 or 6, you'd probably be, she's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, writing this actually brings some clarity because I think I know what you'll say. So to review, do I need to tell the woman I'm seeing that I'm dating outside of her? It's never come up in conversations. My short answer is you don't have to do it today. Eventually you will. So it doesn't sound like it's urgent. And being that you're not official right now, it's okay. But eventually you will, and you will have to make a decision because if she's this good, you didn't mention her confidence level, she must know it, right? And the attraction level of a 6, someone else might find her to be a 10. With those qualities.
With the same,
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I've met plenty of guys before where you know, someone that you think, and this is what gets me about these numbers. So just to let people know, like, I'm not one of those people that always does that. Like, is she a 6? Is she a 10? And it always gets me because there's a lot of people on YouTube and different things. And oh, this person's 10 to you?
Yeah.
Right?
Subjective.
We talked about this before. It's like I've heard people on YouTube before, like, oh, I've dated 10s. Show me the picture.
Yeah.
Really?
What's a 10 to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, really? Some people I find hard to believe that. I'm like, really? You? So, I would say you don't have to do it now, but you're gonna have to make a decision down the road. I don't have a problem you dating this woman that came back into the picture, and it sounds like it was casual at that. Like, it doesn't sound like you were going all in.
Yeah.
And then the crush, that's natural. That's something to explore. So keep things going the way they are, but just know that you're going to have to make a choice at some point. And then on the flip side, don't be surprised if she goes cold on you or if she finds out, right? It doesn't sound like she's going through your phone or anything like that, but
she'll eventually want to move this, further. So get on it. So, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's okay. It's okay to be where you're at right now, but when that time comes, you're probably gonna have to say, am I an honest person? Do I want to treat someone the way I want to be treated? And so if you probably told her that you were seeing other women, she probably wouldn't be very keen on that.
Nah.
So, but I know it's coming, and I want to be honest, but leave my options open. So it's a classic have my cake and eat it too, don't we all? I also want to keep seeing her, but at the same time, she isn't lining up with all I want. What's your take, coach? So I gave it mostly. I would say that she's lining up pretty well. So I would keep dating her for sure. And then some of those things like the exercise thing, why don't you incorporate that in going out more, right?
Like casually introduce it in
not casually introduce it. You could be direct.
You could just say, hey.
You could also say, hey, look, I like where we're at. This is a big part of my life. And it's going to be a problem moving forward if you don't want to
be that direct and say, yeah.
You could.
Yeah. It's an option.
Because if this woman's as into you as you say, you don't want to necessarily give her directions, but she might be open to that,
Just be, yeah.
right?
Right.
So it's not like, it would be different if you're like, you have to do,
Right.
I want you to go to this Zumba class tonight or else
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
Right. Right.
No.
It's a little too demanding, direct.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, right. So invite her to go do some things with you, right?
And then gauge what her interest level is and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think is glaring to me is that the connection was a 7 and the attraction is a 6. That's not something to give up on, but that's why you're unsure. Having trust this deep already is pretty good. He didn't really say how long he's been dating her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't say how long.
Because initially, I mean, trust it. You know, the beginning parts of a relationship, I mean, you don't really know, I guess.
You don't, but it sounds like she's one of those. I've met women before. You're like, wow,
You can just feel like, okay.
Well, no, you just if you date
Mhm.
or if you're good with people,
Mhm.
you can kind of read their
Sure.
morals and values
Yeah,
by
yeah.
their job, by
Right,
the
right,
way they
right.
talk about other people,
Right.
by the things that they have interest in,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So you can kind of gauge that. And in this particular case, it seems like that's crystal clear.
Mhm.
So this is one of those ones where if you look back, she'll be more attractive when she cut you off.
Yeah, you
You
get
understand what
that.
I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like,
Yeah.
there was a window on that.
Mhm.
And you know what I look at here too, looking at the top of the story. I'm currently 1 year plus out of a breakup. So, and I think he said
35?
35. Yeah, I'm 35. So, I'm guessing, and he said that he watched some of my videos and probably dug into attraction. He's probably saying, I just want to be single for a while, but he's conflicted by the fact that this is a pretty good
It's
one.
a pretty good
Right.
person that I'm with.
But
Yeah.
here's the question. Are you going to bet on yourself to find someone that's a better match?
Right, right.
It's possible.
Mhm.
I don't know where you live in the world because that counts.
Mhm.
That counts about your options. I've said this many times. If you're a farmer in Oklahoma on 1,500 acres, good luck. You better grab this one.
Yeah.
That farmer would go, oh my God, I found the angel
Right,
from the
right.
sky,
Right.
because it's supply and demand.
Right.
People don't see it that way, but it really is if you think
Right.
about
But
it.
that's a good, what you say, gauging the 1 through 10s, because that farmer might be like, oh, these are all 10s.
Oh, it would be.
so
It would be.
that's a different situation.
It'd be like you're nuts.
Right.
I would.
Right.
The guy would get on his bended knee, right away.
Mhm.
So, I would say this is actually a really good time to send me your story when you're in these situations, because this is at the infant stages of the relationship, and actually it's better than when you come to me with the breakup.
Right.
And you're like, I know I messed up or I lost something that was really great.
Save some time, get the real answers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Actually, it's a really good time.
Yeah.
Let me take a quick peek at the live stream here. If anyone's got any questions here, we got Modern Shrink who's on deck. Johanna, Rob, always welcome. Eve, how you doing? If great complementary relationships do not evolve other elements of attraction, they might go downhill at some point. Does he mention more specifically what he gauges that 6 attraction on? It looks, personality, social status. That's a great question,
Yeah,
Rob.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, what's his position on those 3? Like, what does he have?
That's a good question. Because there's a lot
Right.
of people that go, oh, attraction's not all about looks. I agree,
Mm.
but I would say initially, when that question comes up, unless you're a very analytical person, which some people are,
Sure.
where it's like sometimes you talk to people in my position and you ask good questions and they can't just go, they have, wait a minute, like, what's the right answer? No, this is your opinion.
Right.
But if I was going to say gun to the head, most human beings, when you say attraction, it is looks. First thought. Personality can make someone cuter.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It can't make them more hot.
No.
Does that
Yeah.
kind of make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
Personality can make a difference. Smile can make a difference. Those kinds of things. But I would say one thing that stood out in this particular story is when someone grows on you,
Right.
they can become more attractive over time.
Right.
Now, they also, in this particular case, can make some stylistic changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had it in a relationship where I had a girlfriend that started working where she had to wear business attire,
And that,
skirts,
Yeah.
you know, things like that, and like a secretary kind of thing. And
Sure.
I was like, wow,
you look
Damn.
good when you're, wearing
Yeah,
that
I was
stuff.
like, where was this when we, like, because when we first met, she was in college, right? So college, you
Wearing
can dress.
sweatpants.
You're not going to dress that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not even just sweatpants, just casual.
Yeah, just
right?
normal stuff.
It was
or
all
whatever,
right.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, you're going to work like that? Damn. Got the
Can change,
boots on
yeah.
with a skirt,
Yeah.
and woo, wow. So that can change, and I think that people might not agree with this. A friend of mine told me this a long time ago. Women have the ability with makeup, getting their hair done, variety of different things to make themselves look a lot better. But actually, when I think about that, I think men have the same opportunity. They just don't do it as
Sure.
much. Because I've met guys before, some people call them metrosexual.
Yeah, Metro, yeah.
Yeah, that really put in effort on all levels, and they look better. You know, there's guys I know that's like, hey, my hair appointment's this week. And I remember I was like, you got a fucking hair appointment?
Yeah.
But this guy really, he
Right,
went to the
really,
gym,
yeah.
he did everything.
Yeah, also the gym thing can change, So like
How you
depending-
care
yeah,
about your
exactly.
looks. So I'd say that if you have a woman that is checking off those other boxes, those might be more difficult. Sweet, caring, kind.
Sure.
It sounds like she's very feminine.
Right.
Okay. Those might be more difficult to line up than getting someone to meet that's attractive.
And those long term, like your value on those, like might be higher,
Right.
right? Instead of the attraction. The attraction, might not be as important to you later on.
Well, yeah,
Because initially, like when you're first dating someone, that's like what usually, strikes people
that's
is like
I say that's the lure
Right.
that catches the
Right.
fish, right? So it is, and some of the other channels and stuff will say that women pursue men for what's the word, for their not for their business activities, but for their status and money. I'm saying it in the wrong way, but women are attracted to guys too.
right. Absolutely.
Attraction's
It's
attraction's
across
important
the
too.
board,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is. It is. It is. It's the lure that catches the fish, right? It's just that the fish will jump out of the boat sometimes.
Sometimes it's just not as important to some people as other people.
But
So,
here's the thing about attraction, right? If you meet someone when they're looking really good, but they like I said about attraction, it's fleeting. It's definitely fleeting.
sure.
Let me see here. Does compatibility also important as much as chemistry? Eve says.
Compatibility and chemistry are
Very similar things.
Yeah.
But I would say they're different words, so they are different things, to
Right.
be fair. Right?
Maybe compatibility is like on paper what you kind of like line up with, and then chemistry is how you feel. I don't know how to differentiate.
No,
the
but
two.
initially when I read it, I thought the same thing. That's very very similar. The same. It's not though. Compatibility would mean that you line up.
Yeah, like on paper. Like
Right. Like I
you're-
said earlier.
Gym,
let's
stuff
just
like that.
let's just say you're a
Yeah.
doctor and you go out with a nurse.
Right.
Highly compatible probably.
right.
You would hope.
But chemistry is the actual like feeling that you get with somebody.
Yeah,
in the moment or whatever,
where you
yeah.
finish each other's sentences and you have 2-3 hour talks and you forgot what time it was.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm one of those people that I have those kind of talks with coaching clients.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it's 2.5 hours. So I would say chemistry is one of those things that it's actually, depending on someone's social skills and openness, it can be difficult for some people to develop that early. So like when this guy is saying like, I'm not there yet, he might not just be as open.
Just takes a little
Yeah,
longer.
yeah,
Right.
to open up. And that's just his style. But compatibility would be, do you see the world the same as me? Like, do we share, you don't have to be in the same religion, but you should be in the same ballpark,
Yeah.
right?
Because generally those are the same values that, I mean, if you're...
You're with an anarchist and then
Yeah.
someone that goes to church every Sunday.
Yeah, it might
and
not
you know what I mean? Like,
be
those are the things that
compatible.
aren't compatible.
Sure.
right?
Right.
Religions are one of those things that you, in the beginning, you think, oh, we can make it work, depending on how devout you are. And then someone will say,
Right.
oh, their families. If they're close to their family, it's hard to overturn that.
Right.
So that's non-compatible things. So I would say that if you're not compatible, then you're not going to be long-term. But you can have a casual relationship, or you can, have something where you're attracted to each other, but that's probably not going to work out. Chemistry is something you could probably develop,
Sure.
but it's nice when it's just off the go.
Yeah, you don't have to work.
If
at
it's
it or
off the
anything.
hop and you didn't try it to get there, and you guys have just great conversations, and I would add, like, I think that what comes to mind to me is when you go out with someone and they surprise you with what they like. You're like, oh, really? You like that too? Wow, like, okay. And where that comes from is if you've had prior relationships and you've been neglected, or the other person didn't have that characteristic, when you go into the new relationship, if someone has it, you're like, oh my God.
Whoa. Yeah.
Being neglected in one area of your life makes something way more valuable later on. Think about that for a minute.
Especially if you've been deprived of it for a long time.
I mean,
and then you get it all of a sudden.
How many millionaires are like,
Yeah.
oh, I grew up,
Sure.
pinching pennies in the streets, and,
Right.
and we didn't have a turkey on Thanksgiving. Like Tony Robbins, like all these people that are super driven. It's either you were born into those riches, which that just means that's who you are. It was built in.
Right.
Or you were so neglected when you were young, you're so driven by it. But you don't hear a lot of like middle class people that were like okay, going like, oh, I was so driven.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, well,
It was
I was never
good.
neglected when I was young.
Yeah.
So that has a lot to do with that. Modern Shrink says ambition. Is that the word you're looking for? I suppose women are more attracted to guys that are ambitious, but that wasn't the exact word I was looking for. In theory, you can have a chemistry but not be compatible. I agree, Rob. I think I kind of broke that down. It is different.
It's different for sure.
And I would say you should be able to tell that early on.
But you can build chemistry, right?
But compatibility is one of those that if it,
Right.
I don't think you can build compatibility. Right? It's like, it's more, for example, I had one client earlier this year that was, the Trump-Biden thing. I'm not going to get into the politics, but basically he liked Trump, his girlfriend liked Biden. Is that chemistry? No, it's compatibility actually. And he had all his reasons and whatnot and this and that, and his girlfriend literally like roasted him,
Right.
hysterically crying, saying that he could not vote for Trump. And I was just like,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
I was, and this guy was like a really reasonable. He had done his research. He had his reasons. His dad was military. Like he's a sharp guy. He's
Right.
in his early 20s.
Right.
And I said, look, man, it's a free country. You know, you should have freedom to do.
Right.
If you have your reasons. And they ended up breaking up. That would be compatibility. That would definitely be one of those situations for sure. We got 9 on deck. I can't see how many likes, but that's okay. But it's different things. Chemistry can happen in everyone. Yeah, compatibility is really something that doesn't have an upward trajectory of evolving. It's neither there or isn't in most cases. I agree. I agree, Rob. I would say that lines up with what I think. And that's something that you should get better at not overlooking as you get older. But that's another reason why I look at it this way. It's like how many people have high school sweethearts or college sweethearts, right? And it's kind of funny I say that because I've had a lot of clients over the years that are in their 20s and they're like, oh, I didn't have my first boyfriend or I didn't have my first girlfriend until I was 22. And I'm like, that's okay. Like that just because everyone sees the movies with high school sweethearts doesn't mean it works out, because your development in your teen years is different. Right. You have so many other maturity things and stuff like that. But college, people usually have a college sweetheart.
Yeah.
Think about this. You're so compatible. You're both going to college. Most likely the same college, but sometimes not the same college.
Right.
You're both working towards a degree. You both, I would hope, value education. You both get to talk to each other about your classes and grades. So you're in the same system,
Yeah.
right? So you can complain about a teacher, right? If you're at the same college, you're really compatible,
Right.
because you actually have, both of you have weekends off. You don't have night class. Maybe those kinds of things make it work. And then what happens? Oh, when we got out of college, shoo,
We went different ways.
right, you were no longer compatible because now someone's works at the bank and someone else works, I don't know, at whatever. And that's where compatibility gets changed. All right, I do have another story here to share. What timing do we have here? I just want to make sure the camera doesn't fry here because we're using a different camera today. Coach, help me. Okay. I'm not going to call you desperate or clingy, but that opening line was clingy. Desperate, right?
Yeah.
I've got some major relationship issues right now. My current girlfriend I met online. We never met in person, but we talk regularly on FaceTime. So I know I'm not being catfished. I live in America and she lives in Europe. Would rather not give the country. No problem. I don't need the country. Which one is it? Which one is it? It would be totally different if it's this country or that country. This is actually really common now. I come across this a lot. I get a lot of clients that are in these situations. I think the toughest thing is I'm not saying it doesn't work, but the odds are against you. But on the flip side, don't make it a habit. So you don't want to develop this into, I have one client in particularly, it's kind of like biting your nails is a bad habit, you know, different things are a bad habit, right? It's a bad habit if you suddenly start to have all your relationships start long distance online.
Never meeting.
Does that make sense? Because what happens is someone goes, oh, I've done this before, so I'm familiar with it. I can do this again.
Right.
There's one client I've had for 2 years, every one of his relationships has been online with someone he never meets. And I just had to tell him recently, I said, hey man, stop using that particular app.
Right.
Start going on dates with people up front. Because what you're doing is you're developing a playbook for something that's not working, but you're comfortable with it.
Right. You got to step out of that comfort.
Well, it's comfortable because it's familiar, right? We've been together for over 7 months now. After 3 months, I agreed to no longer have my dating app profile up. As she said, I was her boyfriend now, and this was something that had to be done. My brother, whom is pretty good with women, told me I'm crazy to be monogamous with someone I've never met in person, but I can't help believing that we have something special. Well, everyone believes what they want to believe, and you could be correct. Again, the odds are probably against you a little bit. Your brother's opinion is your brother's opinion based on his own life experience. If he's never done it before, he's probably going to go, you're nuts. Right? Years ago, I'd go, oh, this is crazy too, because I haven't done something like that before. But you know what? Go ahead and go for it. But if you get burned by the stove, don't touch the stove again when it's hot. So if this doesn't work out, I don't know where this story's going, but if this doesn't work out, then learn from it and go, hey, I don't want to be in these, I don't want to put myself in a situation on one of these apps where I'm meeting someone and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Okay?
You're just wasting time.
Time's never wasted.
Okay.
People tell me, I'll tell you why I say that, B, and I don't mind.
Learning, because you're learning.
Make any comment you want, and I respect it, because you're a human being and you were allowed. But I get it all the time in breakups. Oh, I wasted my time. Don't ever look at your life like that, because it's just a sequence of events. Because if you look at your life like I wasted my time, there's nothing you can get from that.
Yeah, like you learned.
Right. You learned, don't do it again.
Right. So you never really wasted it, but...
No. And you always got a story to tell. That's why I always tell people, go on bad dates. Have some bad experiences. Those are the best fucking stories. Who wants to talk to someone that's great? Who wants to talk to someone that's like, oh, I'm fucking bulletproof?
Right.
Who wants to talk to people like that? I don't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So these kinds of experiences, you know, you look back and you go, oh my God, I had this, I thought I was all in, I thought I was this, you know. So they turn out to be good stories, and it's reminding me of a story I have in my head I'm going to tell at the end of this one, that a guy that had a similar situation like this. So he says, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic here. After 3 months, I agreed to no longer have my dating app profile up, as she said I was her boyfriend now, and this was something that had to be done. My brother, whom is pretty good with women, but I can't help believing that we have something special. Plus, this is the most attractive woman I've ever been with. Ding, 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 ding. That's what.
Right.
That's the straw that stirs the drink, my friend. Okay, now we've got to why you believe something. She's just hot as hell. I'm in my late 40s and she's in her mid 20s, but we have so much in common. And she told me I remind her a lot of her dad, whom she loved a lot. Some people might think this is a little twisted.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I get it. Right? Can it work? Sure. You're probably in, I don't know, maybe a 5% chance for long term.
The stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Right? I mean, when you have that big of an age gap.
And she's commenting that.
Yeah, she reminds you of her dad and stuff like that. And he says he passed away a few years ago. My brother thinks that's not how you want your girlfriend to look at you. Again. Yeah, no, it's not ideal, but I would say that there's probably like, let's just flip this and not say we knew the ages, right? Let's say the person's 35 and the other person's 32 or 33. It wouldn't be that bad, would it?
No.
If you said, I remind her a lot of her dad, if he was a good man. You wouldn't think it was that bad.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah,
it's
like
admirable. That's noble, right?
yeah.
Your dad was a good guy. You remind me of him. You know. But the fact that we heard the age difference makes us go, ugh. Right? But the reality is, yeah, okay. When you have an age gap and you're late 40s and she's mid 20s, you might have a better chance of winning the lottery than having this go another 20, 30 years, 10 years, what have you. But here's the thing. Enjoy the ride.
Right.
Go ahead, but it's going to be, you know, you're going to go 100 to 0. So all I know is I've been married twice, and nothing compares to how excited I am about this relationship. I'm currently working on a visa for her over here, but it's of course not easy. Since we first started talking, she said she really wants to come see me and help out with my farm. Well, that's an interesting thing. My biggest issue is that it doesn't look like she will be able to come anytime soon, as the visa requirements can't be met by her. Well,
This story's got some. I like this one. This one's interesting.
I mean, if the visa can't be met, one question is, like, we don't even know the story about this farm. Does she want to work in her farm in her mid-20s?
Yeah.
There's a certain kind of person that would say, oh, that's grand, that's great. Is this just being said because she wants a visa?
Right.
I don't want to go there because I'm sure he's heard it already before, but it's quite possible that this isn't a catfish situation, but you could be getting taken advantage of, right? I've told her I'll go see her and I'd like to meet her family and friends. She seemed quite cold to that idea and said we still need to get to know each other, and that she'd rather meet in a vacation spot in Spain, which isn't her home country. Well, there's your clarity, right? It sounds like if she was proud of you and you've been talking for 7 months, she'd say, oh, that'd be great. I'd love to meet my friends and family. If she said, I don't have a good relationship with my family, then fine. But something's
But
really...
just to, push it off like that?
It ain't catfish, but it's fishy. It doesn't look like that is possible financially for me right now. I've noticed over the last week she's changed a bit and calls me less. I told her that I'm working on getting things in place to see her, but it won't happen this year. Then she just told me last night that she doesn't think she can go without me for that long, and is going to put her dating profile back up.
Oh, so, okay.
She said it's okay if I do the same. Well, that's kind of her. That's really...
She's giving you the okay.
Oh, that's really kind. Hey, you know what? You can do the same.
You can do it. I'm going to do it, but you're okay to do it too.
She's about 15, 20 years older than you, and she's got you on a leash. right? So this isn't good. I mean, it's kind of obvious, and this is why it's good to write out your story. That being said, I completely get why you're excited.
You're with somebody that's attractive like that.
Yeah,
Or
highly
you're
attractive, and
yeah.
that's what involves your excitement. And good for you. The fact that you can't put up the money to go to Spain and have a rendezvous, and that would probably be the best case scenario. I've actually had a client like this before that basically he met a girl through Instagram, and I guess she was like an influencer. This was one of my first clients. This is like 3-4 years ago. And he was like, wow, I just hit her up on Instagram. And it was a fitness type model thing on Instagram kind of thing. And he's in good shape. He's into that too. So it wasn't like it was a bust for him or anything like that. But she responded, and they had like a 1.5, 2-year relationship, but they would just meet in vacation spots he paid for.
Like this. So it was, let's...
It was different because their age wasn't that big a difference.
Right,
he was
right,
about 10 years older,
Right.
and like I said, he was in good shape, but
Is it
she was allowed to meet, she allowed him to meet her like where he lived. I think he was in Dubai and she was in the States or something like that. But
was it just like, it's time for a vacation?
their first 3 or 4 meetings, they were vacation
right,
spots. It was like Hawaii. It was like the Greek islands. It was
and-
different things. And I was like, wow, that's wonderful for her.
Yeah.
And he was extremely jealous. The problem with relationships like this is a lot of times the guy, I don't care who you are, but if you're in your late 40s and you're with a dime, a 10, someone that you describe as hot as hell, are you secure enough? It's pretty tough.
Plus, it's all online too. I mean, she's meeting people every day, you know?
It's common though, right?
Right,
But
but-
where the proof comes in is like, all right, I can't get you the visa, hon, but we're madly in love. We're exclusive. All right, I can't do that for you, but I'll come see you. Which sounds like a great consolation prize, no money to her. And if she really wants to see him, she'd say, oh my God, this is wonderful.
Let's do this. Yeah.
Right. Let's do it. No, instead, I don't want you to come here, but can we go on a vacation spot somewhere that's really expensive?
I'll pick the place.
Yeah, sure. She said it's okay if I do the same in regards to the dating app. She also said we can keep talking the way we do. Again, she's giving you permission. Okay. Just a little whip. We can keep talking the way we do, but let's just be open the doors on our relationship. I said I didn't want that and hung up on her. She texted me sorry and said, and that she understands I'm hurt. Again, everything's in her frame. Oh, you're hurt. Oh, you can have a dating app on also. Mind you, you're 20 years older than her. Are you comfortable in this part of the relationship? Then we talked again this morning, and she said she wouldn't put the app up. I'm thinking he means the profile up, but she'd like me to start helping her out financially, as she lost her job a few weeks ago. So here you go again. Do this for me, and I'll still talk to you. Treat me to a vacation in Spain, and I'll meet you. Okay. So I mean, he said he's been married 2 times before and never felt this way before. Have you been treated this way before? Sounds like someone's got the carrot at the end of the stick.
Right.
I'm okay with that, but I've lost some confidence in our relationship, and I'm not sure if this is the time to suddenly give her money. You said it, I didn't. So what I would say to that is, I mean, if you read this story, what would you tell this guy? Because again, you believe what you want to believe, especially when you got a good-looking woman in her mid-20s and you're in your late 40s, because those don't fall out of the sky.
Right.
It's possible. It's usually you got to be special, right? You know, someone like Mick Jagger probably happens to him all the time, right?
Probably.
Well, Mick Jagger's like 70s.
He's probably
right?
in his 70s.
Yeah, but he
He's
probably
up there. But he probably does.
Well, he probably pulls 25,
Probably
right?
does.
Right? It's a different atmosphere for him. You said, what's your take? I think I just gave it to you. And already I know LDRs aren't ideal. So you've probably heard me say this. People don't like it, but it's the truth. LDRs, long distance relationships, can work. Times when you meet someone online and then you need a long period of time before you can ever meet them, they're even harder. And then these kinds of things come up and they create friction, uncomfortableness, questionable things. And right now it just seems to me like she's comfortable with it. She doesn't seem uncomfortable.
Oh, no. She's putting all the things like, you can meet me if we do this. It's like it's not a mutual like.
If I had
thing.
to guess, she's got a few guys lined up this way, and to me the most telling part is that she doesn't even want you to visit.
Right.
Like if we're gonna meet up, let's meet up somewhere extravagant. If we're gonna talk again, which is fine, send me some money because I don't have a job. It's like, where is this headed? Everyone can see it but you. And that's why it's really good to write out your story, to be honest with you. Now, on the flip side, I don't know, you said you have a farm. I don't know. If you're a millionaire and you have a lot of money and you don't mind being cat pawed around, go for it. Just know what it is.
Right.
A lot of guys, someone else would give you the information, go, oh man, you're getting taken. Go ahead. I remember I had a friend years ago. I said, hey man, be careful with this
Right.
woman, right? Like she's young. She was younger. It was a buddy of mine, right? And he goes, Max, sometimes you want to get lied to, and it
Right.
it was like, okay, and he's a smart guy,
Right. But if you know all the information,
yeah.
going
He was
in,
what he told me. What he basically was saying is like, I know, but
Max.
I still want it. It's like, all right, fine,
Right.
go for it, man.
But as long as you're
Just
cool,
just know. Don't come back, a year later and go, oh my God, she broke my heart. She did this to me. No.
blindsided and
No. Sometimes you like to be, sometimes I want to be lied to. Let me check the live stream. We got 12 on deck. Let me know if you have any questions. I do check the live stream. I do have one more story to share. Check the camera real quick if that thing's going to fry off. Yeah. Blade Bynum, how you doing, bud? A lot of people date people that remind them some way of a caretaker. Absolutely. Eve said that's a familiar intro. It's very common. It's Modern Shrink said it's more common, especially since it is. It is. This is. So I've had people tell me like, "Oh, that sounds just like me," because it's very common right now. I think people will stay in an LDR too rather than have nothing. Falling in love with the idea or the person. Good question. Good quote. The story seems like the attraction is high, but maybe low trust, opposite from the last story. Helping her financially. LOL. Rob always likes that. I wonder what the odds are that she will ever pay him back. I don't even think that's part of the equation. I don't think he's worried about. I don't think that she's working out a payment scheme. All right, let's do one more. Coach, I've got a different situation than a breakup. I'm actually seeing 3 different women. One is my primary acquaintance. I call it. Acquaintance, okay. She's very close to being my girlfriend. She does everything right, treats me extremely good. She's lacking in some areas that will never change. Specifically, she can't hold an educated conversation with her. She's a little bit lazy with her work ambitions, and she's just not into physical activities and having fun. Okay, so you got a lot going on here. So I'll just do this one more time sorry for the live stream, because B just walked out. I've got a different situation than breakup. I'm actually seeing 3 different women. One is my primary acquaintance, I'll call it.
Acquaintance, okay.
She's very close to my girlfriend. She does everything right, treats me extremely good. She's just lacking in some areas that'll never change. Specifically, she can't hold an educated conversation with her. She's a bit lazy with work ambitions, and she's just not into physical activities and having fun. That seems like a lot of shit.
That is a lot right there. That's a lot.
And they're broad things, right?
Yeah.
They're big
Well,
umbrellas.
I mean, the can't hold an educated conversation.
Well, are you educated?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, at least on
Are
your
you
level.
educated? Can you hold an educated conversation? Depends on who's
Yeah, what's
depends on who I'm
educated?
talking to, right? Shit.
Well, at least it's not on your level of what you can, the conversations you can have.
On the flip side, she's caring, honest, loyal, extremely kind to me. Sounds like the other story. No. Now, the 2 other women, one is ambitious and adventurous and can definitely hold an educated conversation. She's also a workaholic. That would be a red flag for me. That might, if you're a workaholic together, that's not necessarily a good thing either.
I mean, yeah. I guess that might, there might be trouble there sometimes.
I mean, workaholic means that they're going to put work first, and it's going to be above everything else to me. And then when work's not going well, it's going to affect your relationship. That wouldn't be fun. I'm not sure how that will translate into the relationship. Not good. I'm in no way a workaholic, but I think she'd actually push me to be so. I don't think that's a good thing. Well, it depends on how you look at it. If you think you need to be pushed,
Right.
that certainly could turn the dial. I don't know what your job is, so that's another part of it. And you haven't mentioned your age, so that's a whole other part of it. And the final one is that I've seen. Okay, I'm not sure how that'll translate. I don't think it's a good thing. And the final one, he's
The final
3.
the final girl.
Yeah. Final one, I've seen it only a couple times, but I love the job she does, and she's not lazy at all. She's grounded and a very good place in her life. Out of the 3, I know her the least. We haven't even hooked up yet, but I know it's coming. Well, good for you on the confidence.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, it's already written. Good for you. Wow, law of attraction here. Then on top of that, I have another woman I really want to ask out. So you got 4. So you got 3 swimming in your pond, and you got 1 that you're looking to
Add to the pond.
Yeah, right. So yes, I'm spinning plates. Okay, living up the single life, but I'm not sure it's that fun for me. I feel like, will I ever find a woman? Okay, so out of the 3, I know her the least. We haven't hooked up yet, but I know it's coming. Then on top of that, I have another woman I really want to ask out. So yes, I'm spinning plates, living up the single life, but I'm not sure it's that fun for me. I feel like, will I ever find a woman that really can be the one? I'm 33 now, and I just feel like I don't want a serious girlfriend. Well, that's a choice.
Well, can I ask you? If you have 4 potentially, would you do the three pillars 1 through 10s on all of these and
Good question.
See where you line up?
That'd be a start, right? Do 1 to 10 on each one. That'd be a start. I mean, he's. It seems though that if you have the mindset that you don't want a serious girlfriend,
Right,
anyways, here's the interesting thing: you're already setting up your mind to go. Let me filter for the reasons she's not my girlfriend.
Right.
Whereas if you were saying, I really want a girlfriend right now, you'd be filtering for the reasons that she would be a girlfriend.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So this is where it really counts to have me sift through your story and how you wrote it, because that's what you're telling me. I don't want a serious girlfriend. Okay, brain goes, I don't want a serious girlfriend. Brain goes, find ways to not find a serious girlfriend. Right. So you could, you could be with Cindy Crawford in her prime.
And you're figuring out ways to get...
Right, and you would be like, oh, you know what? I don't like her toes, right? I've read all the books on attraction and dating, and now I feel like I got women figured out. I don't settle for anything, but I also may be overanalyzing them. I would ask, are you a person that analyzes things already too much? But I've had other clients tell me this before when they do all the homework and read the books, and obviously if he's saying spinning plates, he's read Rational Male or some of these things. So you can get conflicted by all this and kind of go, well, all of them have red flags.
Right. Right.
If you start identifying all the things that these books tell you to identify, you're still not going to find the perfect woman.
You're not going to find somebody that doesn't have some.
But if you, I will say this, if you date enough, and pickup artists say this, you'll find your match. But that doesn't mean you'll be hers.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you just because you feel like you figured everything out. And I would add to that, you might have figured out how attraction works on a high level, but that still doesn't mean you're going to get every woman you want.
Right.
All right. Like there's little things when people generalize, all women like this, men like this, women like that. Human beings are intricate. Like, for example, let's say you're one of these guys that goes to the gym, makes a lot of money, and they get most women that they want. They're charming. They have all these things. But guess what? The woman you like sees you, and you look like a neighbor she had that was a real jerk drug addict. She won't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you look like a guy from my past. That's one that's underrated. Is someone you look like someone they don't like. So there's all kinds of things to that. But I'm also overanalyzing. I mean, the one I mentioned in the beginning, she's great. She does nothing wrong or bad. Yet I'm still looking for more. Well, because you just told me that you don't want a serious girlfriend. That's why you're looking for more. You set the stage for what's happening right now, so don't be surprised, genius. So I've read all the books, Traction Dating. Yet I'm still looking for more. What's my problem? Your problem is, right? You got all this knowledge and all this ability, and you're thinking like, oh, will I ever meet the one? You're not. Your mindset's not to meet the one. Your mindset's to use these tools that you have now and analyze and pick out and see if you can find something, a gem. And it's possible. It's possible. I would say get really specific on what it is you want. I've had 3 serious relationships before now, and yes, the last breakup hurt a lot, but they were good relationships that I was happy in. Now I'm wondering, can I ever settle for just one woman? Every time I meet one I seem to meet another I'm interested in. What do you think? Have you come across this before? Sure, I have. That means that you're in a really good place as far as being attractive yourself and being confident and comfortable with women. And maybe that's the first time you've been in this position before, so you want to play with it.
And do he say how old he was?
33.
33? Okay, he's still pretty young.
Yeah.
I mean...
But if you date enough... You'll meet someone that is incredible and all that and all this whatever. But here's the crazy part: they might flip the script on you. Like when you're saying, "Oh, this woman's really into me," like the first story. It's like you might meet a woman that you're so into, but she's not really into you.
Right.
Like they're on different levels.
You always meet your match. All right, let's check this out. Eduardo Martinez, how are you? Clarity is bittersweet, says Blaine Byman. That's an understatement. My ex is getting married with a guy she dated before me, but says she will always have chemistry and will always love me. Wow. Is that the same story we talked about, Blaine? Modern Shrink says, sounds contradictory, wants the one, but doesn't want a serious relationship. Modern Shrink, this is why you need to write out your story. Because then you can see it.
Right.
If you just talk about it... And
you kind of just gloss over it and forget about okay,
Modern Shrink. Like if you do this with your clients, and hopefully I'm not overstepping my grounds, because you said you're actually really a dare I say a shrink, Modern Shrink, but then they can see like actually I did write that.
Yeah,
I didn't say I did say that. Now I can see it. How is the main relation serving him? Seems more negative than positive. If he can live with those, that's fine. Or for how long? She says I make my clients right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's important.
Because you can't really hide. You can't hide.
You wrote that.
You wrote it.
I think that people, I guess some people are better. And it's funny because I'll have people that pay me for the live coaching session and I tell them to write their story and then they just write like a little bit. And then I talk to them. I said, look, Usually I want you to write a longer story because I'm going to go through it with you, but it seems like you're the type that likes to talk because you didn't write much.
Right.
And then they will. But the problem for me in my style and the way I coach and
You
talk to
approach
people,
it,
I'll have to interject a lot because when I do, and that's not something that's taught to a lot of therapists.
Right.
Why would you interject? You need to let everyone say everything because I need to clarify what you mean by something.
You're trying to get the deeper details.
I could
in
do
there.
that by writing down and going back through it, but my style is like, can I interject just to make sure I'm clarifying what you mean by that? Where when someone writes it, everything's out in front of me, the next sequence, the next
Along.
sequence, the next sequence.
Yeah, right.
So that's what gets it sequential.
And the flow gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any closing questions, folks? It's a type of journaling. What type of journaling is it called? Is it? Danny, how much time do you think we have on our camera here?
Yeah, we need a third mic. What do we got?
Where does it show the battery?
Yeah, battery's good. I think it's on 3. Yeah, we're good.
Clarity is bittersweet. There's a lot of things that are bittersweet if you think about it.
Is that
You
like
get-
ignorance is bliss?
Ignorance is, but no, clarity is different. I would say that, like he's saying, you see that your ex that you still had feelings for is
Yeah.
getting married. It's like, done.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Blade? Done.
Yeah.
Done. So there's some value in that. The
Yeah, like,
cliffhanger's
'cause-
over.
Yeah.
The series ended.
It hurts.
Sopranos is done.
It hurts now, but ultimately it's better. You know, and you can move on. And
It's
do
over.
whatever. Yeah.
They're not bringing him back.
Yeah.
No. I'm not going to have an affair with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing
Yeah.
enters into your mind. You're like,
Right.
I guess we're done. Right? I think that even if you don't have feelings for your ex still, you always think that, oh, maybe down the road.
It's possible.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
had
like-
something, so it's
You
possible.
know,
later on.
especially
Yeah.
within a year or 2 years, if you haven't met someone else, and then you find something like that out, and you're like, okay. Now
Good.
I have had one client, particular situation, really interesting, and it was cool. He booked a 2-hour, and it was funny because I don't get those a lot. People usually book an hour, and we end up going over. But it's like when people do that, I'm like, all right, you're smart.
Right.
You really want to throw up all your feelings. And he was like, I'll talk to you again, but I know I need 2 hours for
Right.
this. Right. And he basically had a situation where he was married and they got a divorce after like 10 years. They had a daughter together, but they lived in the same area.
Okay. So
And-
they
but
never
they
really-
but they would go to birthday parties.
They would see
and
each other 'cause of the
They
daughter,
would see
right,
each other,
right.
but they didn't hook up.
Right.
But he said she still had feelings for him. He said it was always an option. And he said they maybe hooked up once or twice over the like 5 years they were broken up.
Okay.
And then she got married. She got a new boyfriend. He went nuts.
And they were all.
It was like the real breakup for
Right.
him.
Right. It was still like they were connected in some way for that.
It was like the option.
Period,
It's like the
right.
door closed.
Right, and
It's
then
like you can't
boom.
get back together now.
Yeah.
And he was messed up.
Right.
And from the outside, people go, well, why didn't you make the move within the 5 years? We
Right.
had to unpack a lot of things to it, right? And sometimes it just takes unpacking the little parts of it because he was like, well, there was this one time at the kid's birthday party that we actually had a glass of wine at the end of the night.
Right.
And she wanted to, but I didn't, and I don't know,
Right.
and all this stuff. And it's like, well, let's get back to why you first broke up. And he actually really used what I tell people about writing the story. He went deep. Like we first met, 15 years ago, at an amusement park. We did this, we did that. Like he started out, he
Told
was
all the
like-
feelings.
Yeah,
and
he's like, I
everything
used to
about-
have
yeah.
like an alcohol problem.
Right,
Like he went all through it. But my point was like the clarity is, yeah, she's seeing another guy and she was into the new guy, and of course he hated the guy.
Right. Right.
But the wild card is when you got a kid and someone's sleeping at your house. Guys tell me this all the time. And your kid's there. It's something. It's something human or man
Yeah,
involved
Yep.
that you're like, you're at my daughter's house. This guy's, you know what I mean? I don't have kids, so I don't know. But I would say you probably have to go there and have a, if you feel like that person's a threat or something like that, you need to meet them.
Absolutely.
You need to have a conversation. They're going to be around your kid because it's not going away. You're not going to talk the person out of their
If you have a
new-
decent relationship with your kid, yeah, you don't want some random in there.
No, I won't be live tomorrow, Rob. Writing your story out. Okay, Modern Shrink, I'm glad I'm on the same page as someone like yourself. What did you, if I may ask, Modern Shrink, and thank you for hanging with us the whole live stream. What did you get your credentials in? Because I'm just assuming, because I think you told me what kind of therapy you practiced last time. I'm curious. And how much do you think if I may ask you, how much do you think your schooling prepared you for what you do now? Marriage and family therapy. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, they go long, like schooling, like 7 years or something to get the full.
I don't think it's 7 years. How many years, Modern Shrink? I looked into it before when I was in college.
Because I thought you have to go through like your normal, undergrad stuff, and then I could be wrong.
Oh, I learned more in internships.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Eve says, I have a question. I have a question about friend with benefits. What's good about having a hookup as a single man, woman beside a hot night, sex and stuff?
What's good about having just a random hookup?
Well, I mean, what's good about having a hookup as a single man or woman beside a hot night of sex and stuff? It sounds like you're describing a one-night stand, but friends with benefits, I don't think it's the same thing.
No, friends with benefits. I mean, you're.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if I was saying friends with benefits is good when it's good.
But if somebody wants something more, it gets complicated.
Someone usually gets left holding the bag because there's always someone that has more feelings than the other person.
Right.
But it can work.
Right.
It depends on what time you're at in your life, right? It's
And
like if you both don't want a relationship, then it works.
And you're both on the same page, like
if there's sometimes people are like, I really don't want a relationship. I'm going to be moving in a year.
But they just want, their sexual needs fulfilled or whatever.
Right.
And that's it.
So I think that there's actually more of those people than ever before, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot more people than ever before that just don't want kids. So that's another reason. If you're both on the same page, the only consequence, like I said, someone usually feels like the lesser person starts to cop a little bit more feelings. But on the flip side, if that was how you were, but friends and benefits, I've had happen before where it grew into a relationship because neither side pressured the other side.
Right,
It organically grew.
Sure.
So, but the one night stand thing, I mean, it's done. It's over.
Just
It
a
could be
fun-
good. It
just a
could be
fun
bad.
neighbor,
It could have been, a lot of times there's alcohol involved for
Yeah,
those things.
yeah.
But you just got to move on, and it is what it was. You definitely don't want to make that something that you do regularly. 2 to 3 years for masters, 4 years for bachelors. So 6 or 7 years. Okay. Oh, we're off.
And we're back.
There you go. All right, we tried the new camera angle today, something different and a better camera. So I'm not sure if it made much of a difference for people. You can see my little blanket setup here. All right, folks, have a good day. It's curtains.
Later, guys.